Hello again, it's Noob, and I'm not looking forward to picking this. It's a very unreliable pick. What is it? It looks like a CEI lock. I've not heard of that brand before, but I do like the fact that the I looks like a little key pin, I think, by accident or design. I'm not so sure. If you look at the key, you might be able to see what's going on there. And this is, well, despite having 6 cuts, only a 5 pin both sides. You can see that from the bottom of the lock. 5 pin, pin, 10 pin lock with sliders. There are 4 sliders halfway between positions 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, and 4 and 5, I think. I have had a go at gutting this lock because I was very curious what was going on inside. Why? Because it came with all of these keys. Let's grab that little yellow key as well, and you see there's a whole rainbow of keys, but 2 of them are black, and if you had very sharp eyes you'd be able to see that there is a small difference in pin position 3. So here you have the center being concave, and here you've got the center being slightly convex. He says dropping the yellow key. What was in there was an almost imperceptibly small, almost like a half ball bearing. Can you see that? And that is probably just 1 or 2 pin depths, inner pin depths of cut, and that's enough to make this work as a construction keying system. I wish I'd never tried gutting this earlier because it was incredibly hard to do for various reasons, and even harder to put back together, but put back together we did. Picking this, well, it seems like I went through every single tension tool I had. This one seems to be the only one which seems to work, give me enough clearance to pick the outer side of the pins. And I have marked off the pick on each pin position. Is that cheating? No, anybody can do that on any lock, but it certainly does help. Just get your pick position on top of those outer pins. The inner pins you can sort of feel by using a thinner pick like this, which just has an extremely slight curve on it as it happens, and you can sort of go inside, just tap down on the inside of those pins to pick the pins inside the pins. That's a lot. And then once you've done that, there are some sliders to do, and I have found that I can sort of do that with a half diamond. So first of all, we would slide all the sliders to the left, then at some point we'll go in and you can feel where the slider grooves are with the tip of this, and just gently move the sliders out 3 and 4. So that's roughly the technique I'm going to be using. Wish me luck. So let's give this a start. Pop the turning tool in, make sure we get some good tension. That feels okay. Then we're going to go in and try to pick the sides of the outer pins at the bottom. And I think we actually got there. So if that is true, we should be able to then go in and tap the inner pins, which you should just be able to feel as we go along on the inside. And it doesn't feel like we're getting anywhere. So again, if that doesn't work, we'll try the sliders. I mean, all those pins do feel set. We'll just go in and just try some of these sliders, starting at the back. Two, 3 for the... Oh, that felt like it moved a little bit. I don't know if it really did or... Oh yeah, I really felt that go in. Can't feel anything on 1. 2 feels okay. 3 maybe. 4, don't know. Ah, now, did you see that click? That is interesting. So does that mean I'm resting on the inner pins now? Can't feel anything, so we're going to go in and check the outer pins again. 1, 2 feels good, 3 feels good, 4 feels good, 5 feels good too. Okay, so check the inner pins, and we'll have to cycle through this a few times, I imagine. That feels fine, 1 feels fine. 2, we've got a little click there, and a movement, a really good movement. 3, little movement. 4, a little more movement. Okay, so I'm just going to check the outer pins again. I know it seems really strange to do this, but it's always good to double check your work. Because 5 just moved a tiny bit there. And we are in the position where we're very much in a sort of false set. So it could be the sliders, it could be the inner pins. So I'm testing 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, if not, then we can go back in and try some of these sliders. Oh. 2, 3, 4. They feel okay, so I think, as much as I can tell, so we'll go on the outside pins again. So I think we're on an inner pin situation here where I just need to locate which one isn't fully set, which is tricky to do in all honesty. So yeah, keep going, I guess. We're so tantalisingly close to being opened, it's almost unfair that we're somehow stuck on something and I can't figure out what. So let's try those sliders again. Can we nudge them? This is very frustrating knowing that you're very close to picking it but not actually picking it. So it sort of feels fine, which is the worst part about this. Right, outer pins. Ah, pin 5 and we got the open. Wow, that was hard. I don't know why at all. Very inconsistent, but I'll move the device out of the way. I'm not re-picking it. It's rare I do a super long video. This is just going to be one of them. So you can see that we have that open there. Now, the problem is that we're not going to be able to gut this, I don't think, from the front because of the sliders and the pin-in-pin nature of this. So much as I desperately hate to do so, we're going to try to use segmented followers. Yeah, that's right. Which I'm not wholly looking forward to doing. But to do this, then we're going to have to remove the circlips off. One. And then the other side we can just use the circlip sort of ripper function here. So I can get onto it. There we go. And then once that's moved around, we should be able to push that off like this. Then we need another key. Did I show that one earlier? I'm not sure. And then we need to gently pull this one out a little bit. So the pins, where are the pins? That's that side, that's that side. So I think we turn it. Do I have to lock this back up? I hope not. Maybe if I can move this out a little bit. Like that. Enough space to make sure that that key, please don't mess up, can go in enough to turn the lock and select the cam. I think it's because we've selected the cam at the back. That's if I can move it out a bit more. You'll be very careful we don't move it out too far for obvious reasons. Where are the pins going to fall out of? The top, aren't they? Where I am. Okay. So it could be. There we go, we've got it. So we turn this one, then we gently pull that out, and we want to free up this cam in the middle, like this, and take that out. Then we want to make sure that we've got that aligned at the bottom like this, and then gently, very gently, use these segmented followers to follow the lock out, which is a lot easier said than done. And I hate doing this to degrees you probably not understand. The worst comes to worst, we'll just rip the whole thing out, but I hate doing that even more. Whoa, 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 come here. I truly believe segmented followers should happen to other people. See, what's happened here is that I think that I've got because these are quite loose, I've got some bottom pins which are probably hanging up in the keyway, stopping this from going in properly. No, it doesn't seem to be. It makes it just annoying. So what can happen with this is that you all the drive pins are the same. These, if you notice, these segmented followers aren't quite wide enough. So what can happen is that the inner pins of the lock essentially get in the way. So that position there is about as neutral as we can get. We don't want to mess up the springs. But it could be that we just have to do a rip out and hope for the best. Okay, I'm going to do it. Now, we have lost a couple of, we lost a driver pin, but trust me, this is far neater than the first time I gutted this, like infinitely so. So, oh, there's the sidebar. There's a spacer. There's a sidebar spring. And we'll do our best to gut this now. Oh, there's the other sidebar spring. That's perfect, actually. Oh, okay, that wasn't perfect. We'll get this done. Okay, so we've got a driver pin for pin 1. Then we've got the, just going to take this turning tool out. Just pop the key in so I can get the correct bitting, then I can put these bits back in properly. That's right. Long pin goes in this one. Yes. The short pin goes in this one. I think that these act like little T-pins as well on the inside, which makes them a bit more of a struggle. There we go. Right. So there's all the pins. If I put my thumb over here, turn it over, you'll see that that's where the sidebar would sit. And it is sprung. And we do have both those little, that little spring somewhere. I don't know where it's got to, but we'll find it. And that goes in here. And you see that that is flush. Inside, you'll see the groove at the top that the sidebar sits in. And we'll deal with the rest of that just in a second. So, yeah, those are the sidebar springs. I'm going to put them safely here so I don't lose those. They're only tiny, with the actual sidebar itself. Surprisingly good lock. It's a bit inconsistent. I'm not sure of the tolerances, but it isn't easy either. Okay, so how do we do this? Let's do pin 1 first. Turn that round. And with a key in, the sliders won't pop out. So that's a good tip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So just leave that there and I'll show you some of these to begin with. By the way, putting this lock back together is even worse than gutting it. So these are the pin-in pins. And they do sit inside, but they can drop lower, as you can see. So they are sprung from the bottom as well, so they can sit a little higher. I don't really see me tap that. And what is forcing those higher is these pins here, and they are sort of like special seal sprung units. So if you notice here that these are on a spring, and it's this side you want to go against the springs on the inside of the pin chambers, and it's this pokey bit there which you want to be interacting with this part of the pin. Oh, come back, come back. You really don't want to drop these on the floor. How do I know? It's because I dropped them on the floor when I gutted it last time, and yeah, I felt really bad. So these pins which poke up into the keyway, can you see? Like that. That's being forced up and by the spring on the underside. Ooh. So all of the driver pins are standard, but they are pin in pin, and they're annoying. So those are all the key pins. They are themselves a T-pin shape, I believe, so that like a lot of dimple locks, they don't fall into the keyway. If you look down there, you'll see a tiny, tiny ledge just there down inside, which means that the pins won't drop down into the keyway if they're extra short, because, you know, that's not what you want. That tiny little piece there would have been, so it drops into that. So this is, the construction key would have been, the householder's key would have been high in the center, pushing this little thing out. As the lock rotates it jumps back down, but I'm going to keep that out because nobody wants that. Right, now for these little, let's do this bit first. You might think, why have I got these 2 half shims? It's because I actually use the shims to gut this later, to put it back together. It's the only way I've found that consistently allowed me to do that. So not easy. And again, you've got to make sure that springy bit is facing the pins. All these are little pin-in pins, top and bottom. Sometimes I speed up the guttings, but I think if you watch this far, you're probably interested to see what's on the inside and how I'm going about gutting this. So I'm not going to speed this up. Anybody who's not interested would have probably already gone on to watch somebody else's channel. So why there are 6 cuts on the key and only 5 positions inside the lock, I don't know. There isn't even a chamber at the front for that. Maybe there's some there is like an anti-drill thing, but I don't think it takes up that much room. And then we can go to the last pin, and you'll see that all these are the same. I'll make sure they're rotated round as they are supposed to be in the lock. Make sure you do it the right way around. I fear that if you didn't, you'd brick the lock essentially, if you could even get the thing back together. So make sure you reassemble this exactly as it's supposed to be. Check with the key, all that kind of stuff. Right, we can leave this to one side for now. Gently, being aware that that could jump out at any time. Pop these segmented followers up here. They sort of work, but only to a degree. And then we can go finally to these sliders. So that's pin 1 to 5 there, 1 to 5 at the top. So this will be slider. Can we get? Yeah, they are free floating. No springs at all. Slider 1. I'll put these at the top. Well, slider 4, sorry. No, I will put them here so I don't forget which orientation they are. How do I get you out? So I need to poke the little tab of the slider if I can see it. Ah, it's down the bottom here. There we go. I poked it and it's now poking out a little bit. There, a bit more. Good, we can get it. Oh, you little... Right, we've got it. Let's get the tweezers on that. Perfect. That's another one. They are slightly curved, which is very odd. I don't know how that affects the picking. I assume that because they're not flat, it's some kind of security sort of design. Don't know for sure. Poke the next one out. No, that's the wrong one. Again, if you don't put these in the right way around, they won't work either. Aha, the old tappity technique. And then the final one. And there's that last free floating slider. They're hard because you can overset them. And put that there. Right, there we go. Phew, I am absolutely exhausted after picking that. And now I've got to put the whole thing back together. This is going to be a horrible, horrible thing to put back together. So pin in pin, all these are pin in pin, as you can see, little inner pins. The top pins poking those down. We've got a mixture of steel and brass inner pins. I don't know why not just keep more steel? We've got steel sprung pin in pin top pins, all standard, and then these oddly shaped. Can you see this like curve and ledges and stuff to them? Whoa! Oh, I'm gonna get one of these out. I think it's actually, yeah, it's got little false notches on. Look, I didn't notice that before. Look, it's actually got little false gates. Can you see against my nail? Look at that, little false gates and notches and all sorts. That's so cool. I've not seen that before on one of these, so that might be part of its inconsistency. Well, look, that was a heck of a long video. It's going to take me even longer to put it back together. I really hope you enjoyed that. Interesting, tough lock. I've seen slider pin locks, there's loads of them out there. So many of them, the Cavios and the Apex, and there's a whole bunch of them, the Yale Superiors, but this one with the pin in pins and the sliders with the false gates and serrations on them, really cool. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that video. Sorry for it being long, but then if you did enjoy the longer format video for once, well, thank you for watching this far. I really appreciate it. If you've got any comments about this lock, leave them below. If you like this video, give it a like. If you subscribe, now's a great time to do so for more content like this, and I will see you all next time.